I'm not in prison anymore. I'm liberated, I'm home, and I'm cosplaying as Larry. Ta-da! Hello, I'm Bob the Booker, and welcome to my channel. Today, another day, another prize shortlist. What's going on? Or long list even. But this is very exciting. The International Booker Prize has just announced its long list for this year, and it looks like quite a fun and exciting one. Now, the International Booker sort of books in translation or translated more specifically into English. And for the last few years, I've been following the prize and I've been finding it really interesting. It is just a really cool prize in terms of, I think it really goes a bit out there, and especially if the last couple of years are to be kind of looked at, they really go in on a sort of bizarre thing, like yeah, the last couple of years they've chosen some wild cards on the list, and I think that's what makes this long list really exciting. There are a lot of books on here that you typically wouldn't find in many other lists or whatever else, and typically as well they're very good at supporting independent presses. And there's sort of, you know, it's always quite interesting because the Republic of Consciousness Prize, which is a prize that looks at independent presses and small presses, and the International Booker Prize often have quite a lot of overlaps. Partly that's because I think independent presses can be a little bit bolder in terms of their choices in kind of looking at international work, and partly also just because I think the International Book is quite savvy at picking up on some of these bits as well. But we've had the long list announced, and I'm deeply, deeply excited for it. I mean, I've read a sum total of 1 of the lists so far, but also seem to have somehow acquired 5 of them over time. And you may notice from this little wall of blue going on here that Fitzcarraldo is very well represented here, with a total of 3 books that you can't really see. There we go. 3 books in the long list. And all very, very exciting, really, to see that they have managed to make it in. And those 3 are, let's do this, Paradise by Fernanda Melchor, and she was shortlisted before for hurricane season, which was a wild ride, and I'm told this is too. We have John Foster with A New Name, part of his septology, and now part of me's like, do I have to go back and read the others? I'm sure they're great. I just... and the Books of Jacob, which is a junky monkey right here, and I have not started despite back in November getting it and being like, right, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna like take it slowly but surely, and I'm gonna read it, and I haven't started, and now I probably should. And typically I normally only read the shortlist for the International Booker, and again sort of cherry pick, kind of like with the Women's Prize, cherry pick a couple that I want to read. And I think I might actually read the whole long list for this, just because a few of them are books that I was already really wanting to read, and a few of them just look really good, and I feel like, why not? There we go. And some of those books that I have been sort of wanting to read as well include 2 that I have copies of already because of different prizes. So Claudia Pinheiro's Eleanor Knows looks like a really interesting book about a woman sort of dealing with disability and dealing with various sort of complications and around it within the story. And it was longlisted for the Barbellion Prize, which focuses on disabled writers and writing about disability. And so I bought it for that, and then have not read it yet, but now have an added reason to do so. And then equally we have Happy Stories Mostly, a set of short stories by Norman Erickson Passaribu, which was also longlisted for the Republic of Consciousness Prize, which I've also been planning to read. When will this happen? Who knows? The joys are the Republic of Consciousness Prize has, like, its long list looks incredible and is all very short books, and of which this is one. And so yeah, that all works out. And the other long listed book that the only long listed book from the International Booker that I have so far read, is After the Sun by Jonas Aika, which is a set of short stories, only really about 4 or 5, and there's sort of, I say 4 or 5 because there's one that's sort of a split. It's essentially the same story but sort of split over 2 mini bits across the collection. That bit I really, really enjoyed. I had a mixed reaction overall to the short story collection. Those short stories about essentially the tourism trade and sort of sex tourism trade in Mexico, I want to say it was, I thought were really, really cool and really well done. And then the other bits I was like, I don't know what I'm reading, but this is kind of fun. Cool, let's see what goes on here. Anyway, but this is a very, very exciting long list for a few other reasons. There are a few sort of quite small presses that have, sort of haven't really been in this before, I think. And then you've got a press like Tilted Axis, who have, I believe, 3 books on this as well. Yeah, is them. Yeah. And what's kind of fun, I mean, this is, you probably won't be able to see this because of lighting, but, and this is probably the worst one to show you just in terms of the colour contrast, but there's a little number 24 at the top of this. And what's really visually pleasing, at least for me, is that the 3 books from this press that have made it are in their collection in sort of numerical order, so 22, 23 and 24. Nobody else cares. I find that really interesting and really fun, and I think it's neat. But there we go. And I just think it looks like such an interesting long list. We've got the first book translated from Hindi, which is Tomb of Sand. We have got a book from And Other Stories, who are a really interesting publisher. We've got 2 returning winners, one in Olga Tokarczuk, who previously won for Flights, which is somewhere over there, and I'm not moving. That's very lazy, but whatever. And so this is her, kind of returning after having won. And we've also got David Grossman with More Than I Love My Life, who previously won as well. So good to see 2 returners on this list, and that probably also contributes to how we've got so many Fitzcarraldo, because returners are allowed another bite at the cherry, as it were. Is that the phrase? Does anyone say that? Who knows? But all good nonetheless. So those that ramble aside, this just looks like a really exciting prize list, and I will go on to talk about a few more. Other people have done a much better job of doing proper roundups on this, such as Eric and Kieran, and I'll link to them for this. But really exciting to see a few books on here that I've been really wanting to read and check out as well. So Love in the Big City by Sang Young Park, translated from Korean, about a queer man and his life in, I believe it was in Seoul. And also another Korean writer, I think actually translated by the same person. Good, it's a good day for Ant and Her. And Curse Bunny by Bora Chung is another set of short stories, and they look kind of wild, like a little bit out there, but that's what this prize is very good for. So I'm really, really excited for this, and I've been spending a little bit of time this morning just trying to sort of find some of these in my local library and other things as well, and it all looks very exciting. But yeah, a couple that I haven't mentioned so far. Heaven by Nico Kawakami, who's sort of most famous, I think, for Breasts and Eggs, and has got another book coming out this year as well, so really exciting to see that. I've still never read anything by her, and really, really keen to do so, because I keep on hearing, again, that it's a bit wild and a bit out there, and that should be fun. And all of that aside as well, we've also got the Book of Mother, which is by Violaine Huisman, and this sounds really good. It sounds really dark and kind of twisted, and a story about a daughter's inextinguishable love for her magnetic mercurial mother, which kind of sounds great. I'm a real sucker for sort of coming of age Bildungsroman books, and this sounds perfect. So yeah, anyway, my rambling all aside, this is a very exciting long list. I was not planning to read the entire long list. I think I now am, maybe. This feels dangerous, but there we go. Also, Kieran over at KD Books is doing his Discord, also sort of is focusing on a good few of these books, and on the International Booker more generally, so please do go and check him out and that Discord out. I've been Bob the Bookerer. I've been rambling about a book prize. This takes nobody by surprise. Have a great day. Which ones are you looking forward to reading? Speak to you all soon. Bye-bye. Also, additional note, what's happening in March with this? Like, we've got two, maybe 3 book prizes doing big launches. Probably more book prizes that I don't even know about. And we've got Eurovision, so we've got lots of countries announcing their songs, including the UK today, and it seems decent. All happening in the space of a few days. I'm exhausted. This is like all of my kind of key interests all happening at the same time. There's been a drag race final. There's still more drag race happening. What is can somebody? I need a break. This is a lot. I am but one feeble man. I need a break.